Aloha, this is Skye. Aloha, this is FNN, Feminist News Network, the feminist news that's right for you. Welcome to Skye Friday Night Live from the Pagoda Room. All right. Yeah. Okay, it took me a while to get on, but I'm here. I'm here. All right. Yeah. And if you up late Friday and you checking this out, all right. Now, I want to be able to see uh my chat. So I'm gonna go online on my YouTubies on here on my phone, because I was trying to figure out how to do like the Facebook. That's what was taking me so long and getting on and blah blah blah. But it takes a while. I gotta figure it out. Whatever. So let me go to my homepage and see if I'm live there. All right. It says home, but it doesn't take me home. Where is home at? Oh, look. Let me show you. I'm live. Hey, you gotta get live. You gotta get live. Live with Skye. I know that's right. So let me get on here and see if I can see the chat on the side. I know that's right. Whoop, so whoop. Let me get on here. And it says live chat, so I want to be able to see. I know that's right. So let me get on here. And it says live chat, so I want to be able to see. Okay, I got. All right, turn that down. And chat. Okay, so aloha. Usually Jigaboo catches me on here. I hope you're out there, girl. All right. And oh, somebody's calling. Let's answer the phone. Hey, I'm on live on YouTube right now. You have something to say? Oh, okay. See, you ask them to go on live, they don't want to do it. All right. But I just posted aloha. So if you have something to say, I'll be able to see it. All right. So what are we going to talk about today? Even though we're running an hour late, what do we have to talk about? She, the people. Being held at historically Black college in Houston, Texas, Texas State University. And it was ran by Amy Ellis, hosted by Joy Reid. Now, let's talk about She the People. She the People was meant for women of color, a phrase that Amy had explained had been created and started 45 years earlier at a 1977 Women's Convention. I don't know if it was Women's Democratic Convention, probably was, but Women's Convention in Texas. So they brought it back to the same area, same city, to bring upon 8 out of the 21 candidates running for president to get their views. Now, let me say this as a ADOS woman, as a woman with a Black mama, a Black grandmama, Black daddy, Black granddaddy on both sides. I feel I have the right to say what I felt was really going on. These weren't just black women. These were black, historically black college elitists, educated women. These were your advocates and hard workers. Were these mainly those that were chasing a big check? Some of them do, some of them don't, but it's obvious the ones that running are. And it's obvious the ones that are running She the People are clearly Hillary lovers. Yeah, I said it. Mm-hmm. Let me put it on here right now. Uh I'm typing it in, talking about blacks that love Hillary. And it showed at She the People. It was clear, you could tell by them having Joy Reid, who is a very much so elitist female black, came out there talking about formation. Nobody laughed at that. Nobody went, all right, girl. Nobody did that. Does she even know what was in that video and what it was about? Saying, stop killing me. It's not meant to dance. It's meant to reflect. Because that uh, video was mainly taken and and done in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Now, as most elitist blacks are, they're out of touch. They're separated from us. They don't know what the real fuss is. Now, it seems like out of the 8 they had their favorites. And it was clear who their favorites are. They stayed a little longer. The questions lingered a little better. It was a little more fluff question than the others. And it seems like they only picked on those that the established media is already picking on. So as black women, I don't know if these questions, when they came up to ask, were already read and already set. Now, I would like to think if this was a real She the People, they would have allowed them to come up and ask whatever kind of question they want without pre-screening. But it's clear to me those questions were pre-screened. And because they kind of knew who they were that were asking the questions, and they were various local and national community activists and leaders. So it was set up. Well, it's their forum, it's their show. They could do whatever they want. But, let's go over who they had, shall we? The first one that was on was Cory Booker. They went in alphabetical order. Sorry, sinus. But Cory Booker did say I had a strong black female in his life. Now, he said mom, and it bothered me that he wouldn't say mom. Let's be truthful about that. Real ADOS. Say mom. Now, now you can be black and say ma, nah, and all the other stuff you want to say. But let's get real. Let's talk about the deal. You say, Mom. That's what it always been. That's what it always is. That's what all the songs proclaim. Not my mammy, my mama. And he didn't say it. None of those that were on stage, like Kamala, never mentioned her culture or her mom, and was totally referring to women of color. Now, another person that liked saying women of color a whole lot was Beto O'Rourke, and the third person, the second person, Castro. Now, I would like to have him to say, I was wrong. He said, I was raised by a strong woman of color, strong woman of color. But at no given point did Castro say, I was raised by a strong Latina woman, my strong Latina mama. You know, he never said that. They were all politically correct dancing around this woman of color thing. And it seems like the two that they hit hardest were the most progressives. And that was Telsey and Bernie. It seems like with Telsey, they wanted to talk regime change. Now, Telsey has policies where she wants to purge the criminal record of nonviolent offenders that have dealt with less than a pound of pot, but they didn't want to mention that. Want to take it from a class one and decriminalize it and stop the prohibition of marijuana, but they wouldn't mention that. She's for reparation. And the only person they talked reparations with was who? Let me see. My stuff said they talked reparations with Beto O'Rourke. I don't even Beto O'Rourke. Everybody screamed and yelled. He's a big favorite in Texas, and he talked. And somebody was talking about tip wages, and that was a softball for him. And then prisoners voting, which is really Bernie's topic, and there was only a small mention of what's going on in Florida with the vote that created that to allow it, without mentioning how the GOP is fighting to keep that from happening within the next election. And there was no talk of super delegates amongst any of them. There was no talk of fixing voting machines. Only Tulsi Gabbard had the idea to mention the paper ballots and voting, which we need. Make every vote like a caucus. Have all the votes papered in. You got the people that are sitting there, not picked and selected, but those that voted that day, that volunteer to stand around, and you can have as many as you want if the whole crowd wants to hang out all day. And then you pick one to vote. One to count the votes, one to tally the votes, and one to check and make sure the votes are counted. And if everybody wants to stay and hang out and witness it, they can. And that's how you should vote. And that's what she's suggesting. Marvelous. Awesome. Great idea. Should be doing it right now. It would cancel out the need for any kind of rigged voting. No need for super delegates. But they just glossed off of that and wanted to talk about Syria and Assad so damn quick, and without even thinking or guessing or realizing that there's nothing wrong with stopping constant war. Why in the hell do we want our children to be soldiers for the corporations and give up their lives and their body and their time and their patience and their knowledge to war? Ugliness. Ugliness. If they would have talked something that was about something. You know, they mentioned with every last candidate, what makes you right for women of color to vote for you, and tried and wanted to and only talk policies with like uh Bernie that kept asking, and he didn't really answer. He's like, they said, Bernie, what policies do you have for women of color? Well, everybody needs Medicaid for all. Everybody needs, we know. Don't run down. And you know, this is what kind of pissed me off. They're just running down all these MF and facts about black mortality rate. Colbert did that. Black mortality rate. Kamala did that. Black mortality rate. Liz, you don't have to tell us what we already know, what we are going through, and what we know closely within our family that has went through it. We see it on a daily. Excuse me. Hold on. We see it on a daily. You don't have to remind us. And I think it's real kind of stupid that they constantly do that. Try to uh point out facts that we already know about when they need to be talking policy. Need to say, well, we're going to do this for black women. We're going to make sure the ERA goes through so we can create equal rights for all women. Don't tell me how much on the dollar I'm not making less than a goddamn white somebody else. Oh, I almost went there. You don't need to tell me that. I already know I'm making less and struggling hard. Tell me what your damn policy for me is. So we're going to do this for women of color. We're going to make it easier for all of you women to get free college. We're going to make it easier for all you women to get micro loans. We're going to make it easier because we know you build up and you're strong women. You take care of your families. We're going to give you universal health care and make sure women of color that are of a certain income most definitely get it free. You ain't saying none of that. I don't hear none of those policies, and I didn't hear not one damn one mention one that was specific. They were all dancing, shaking, and I'm gonna change. I'm gonna make it better. No one said, "Look here, sisters. I'm thinking about you. I got something for you, and I'm gonna do this to make sure that you." None of that. None of it. None of it at all. Mm-mm. No. So, did she, the people, inform people? Yes. Did she, the people, let you know something? Yes. And what did she, the people, let you know? All of those damn candidates are dancing around black topics and black issues, and they really want to try to not say nothing that's going to upset what they want, which they think their bigger votes is coming from the white folks still. And they ain't even trying to realize, like we told them at the beginning, we are 20 million strong and we will sway this vote. And what's even better, and what these elitist black women need to understand, it's the women of the working class of color that will vote and sway this election. Not the elitist blacks. There ain't that many of y'all out there. Y'all think y'all can talk us down, us real activists, us real feminists, us real progressive women, and try to tell us who to vote for. But we know that the slate system in California is effed up. We know that we need to be voting for progressives. We know that you're trying to persuade us and throw Kamala in our face when we know that she's nothing but playing blackface. Yeah, I said it. I don't care if she was raised in Oakland. She was born in Canada. Daddy's from here. And she went back and forth and just only came back for a couple of years from school. And then she want to act like she was raised up in the neighborhood. No, I was born into my grandma's house. When my mama got her own home, worked in the factory, we only lived a few blocks away, and we was still at grandma's house every Sunday for years and years and years and years. And when I had my child, I took it to grandma's house, had the baby, and came out of the hospital to my grandma's house. Raised my first child until my grandmother died with my grandma in my grandma's house. And no matter where I lived, what state I was in, I made sure my ass flew back, and it was all about coming back home to grandma's house. Kamala Harris don't have that story. Kamala Harris doesn't talk about that. Kamala Harris talks about the woman down the street cooking because her mama was cooking Indian food, let me tell you. Hmm. Nobody in her house was cooking collard green. Nobody in her house was making tea cakes, hot water cornbread, butter beans. She don't know which beans she's soaking, which beans she don't. She don't know how to stop okra from being slimy. Only real DOS know about that. Let me tell you facts. Hmm. So that's what I'm talking about. She, the people, may have kept the same policies, positions for the elitist black women, but for us ADOS and women of color that are working class, low class, struggling class of women, we should have just seen what was out there. And they went and the ones they held down the hardest, which was your Tulsi and your Bernie, should have turned you on to the back. Those are the ones that are best suited to help us. Because the ones they wanted to dance with, and Joy Reid had cute little things to say to Kamala and Liz afterwards, because you just know that she mingles and hangs out at the same social lighting parties that they do. Ain't cool. Ain't cool at all. Ain't cool at all. And you can feel empowered about it all you want. But these women should have asked better questions. Shouldn't have act like they were picking favorites, and should have been more understanding in regards to what each and every candidate was saying. Okay, so enough of she the people. Now let's move on to my next topic, which is Cold Pink and the people's resistance at the embassy in in DC for Venezuela. Yeah. Now, are they gone? Are they out of there? Democracy Now! Didn't say nothing about it today. Nobody said they had a Janet Reno situation where they just gang banged up in there and took everybody. So apparently they're still there. All right. You know, they already have opted the situation, and Trump and Bolton and them and Abrams have already put in their own ambassador and had him show up at some kind of international council type of meeting already, and he shouldn't even been there to represent, because the real embassy ambassador was actually sent back to Venezuela. So, you know, all they had in the embassy was just a few workers left to make sure that there wasn't a total takeover of the embassy. And that's why they were kind of invited in to be a part of the embassy. They do have the permission of those that are in there. So it's like with the workers that are in there and with the blessing of Maduro, they're there to make sure that the Guado group, that the coup group, don't come in and take over everything and find out what else they can use to manipulate and stagnate the horrible situation that they're doing, because they've already hit the utility grids and has tried to make it where nobody's getting their medicine. And who is doing this? Is it the poor people doing it? Is it the president doing it? No, it's the rich freaking elitists that owns the malls, the stores, the mining companies, and the hospitals, and the transportation, that are withholding from their own people. And instead of making the money they want massive profits. So they're withholding so they can chokehold their own government to hold out, so they can have an authoritarian government that rakes and bleeds to people like they're doing here in America to our own. And that's what's really going down. Do you not like hearing the truth? Because that's what's going on. You know, Africa ain't the only place with brown people that Trump is calling a shithole country. He thinks that about South America and the people that's in it. And while he shakes the hand of Bolsonaro in Brazil, he still thinks of him as being a little too darker than him to mess with. I'll build my hotel there, but I'll send my companies there to take over your land and make money. But it's like they said in the news, Bolsonaro is allowing them to have free transport and come over. And what is Bolsonaro getting? What is Brazil getting in exchange for what they're giving, so they can be over there and sit on the border of Venezuela? Nothing. Give them free transport and everything, and they get nothing. See how this game is being played? Ugliness. And still found Sitco oil on sale because of the sanctions at another store the other day. Oil used by Tom Petty in the Indy 500. Squares by ugliness. Ugliness. So let me tell my rare disease story. All right. I'm going to tell my rare disease story. It's most recent one that I have at my last rare disease day, 2019. Oh, you know what? Let me go and get my poster. So hold on. Hey, okay, was it gone too long? You'll be all right. Okay, so here's my rare disease day poster. I'm ready to tell my rare story. Rare story. All right. So what rare story am I gonna tell? One about Magellan disease. And what is that? Only 8 people in the whole nation have it, and we have one here in Hawaii, and I hooked them up with the National Magellan Foundation, and that's the most help I can do outside of being able to let them know what they had so they can tell their doctor. But this guy was out in Waimanalo running through the fields. He was doing something, had a beautiful day, and he got a scratch above his eye. And he went home, and the scratch was like, it didn't really bleed. He was cut by like a brush of a pin or twig or some kind of thorn out in the grass, and he saw little fibers, like stringy fiber things, like fibers, like growing out of his thing. Yeah. So he had fibers growing out, and before he noticed, they were coming out of moles. Imagine fibers coming out of your mole, and then they were coming out of his arm, and then there was a lot of them coming out, and he started getting weaker. And what happens with Magellan is you have all these fibers, well, super thinner than this, but that come out until it just, you know, overwhelms your body and kind of like overwhelms all your organs. And this man was totally unwilling to go to the doctor until he knew what he had and knew that he had somebody capable enough to help him with that. So I contacted him with Magellan Foundation, and contacted the Magellan Foundation, which hooked them up to Kapiolani Hospital, which had a doctor that knew about it but really never worked on it. So in Hawaii, we are far, but you got to remember, like I said at the beginning, only 8 people in the whole nation has this, so it's hard to find people that know about it, but know of it to be willing to work on it is good. So I'll keep you in touch and let you know if this person survived, because apparently the fibers grow quick and they wrap and strangle all your organs very quickly. So hopefully he was able to get help and he's still around. I'll give you an update on that. And what other updates am I working on? If you're here, if you're listening to me live, I can tell you about the updates I'm working on B. Smith. That's right. And what do I want to talk to you about today with B. Smith? It seems like Dan's been dusty for quite a while. You know, he sold the house for $7 million. Bought a new little Mercedes to drive around with the girl in. But do you know, and are you aware, that B. Smith had disappeared? And was Dan looking for her for real? I'm going to talk about it in the update video because she popped up in a homeless shelter in New York. Because they didn't know that or they claimed to did not have known that her Alzheimer's had gotten that bad. They thought it was still manageable with medication, and she would take buses and visit people and stuff like that. And she was taking a bus and visiting, and she had disappeared, and he was on the news, and so is my wife. But no, I didn't see him with a search party. No video of that, just him crying. He was probably hoping that she came up missing. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. He was probably hoping she came up missing. Oh, look at that. What had happened? Okay, so he was probably hoping she came up missing, but she did. Now, this is what I'm trying to confirmate. This is what I'm trying to get information and find out. First off, was he already with Alex when that went down? Because if so, we need to call an investigator. Senior services. But let's not remove her from her situation until we know of a better situation for her. And that's where I've been watching Art Ripley, who seemingly wants to remove her, put her in another state for a care home for actors because she has obviously put in enough airtime as a television actress. Um, though she did a design show, it was still her acting and modeling, and has put in enough time to earn her spot to be able to be placed in one of these um, care homes for actors. Now, that would mean moving her to another state. Now, as I said, she needs proper care. She needs proper managing. She needs elder stylists to keep her looking fit. She was known for being super stylish, super fit, super organized, and someone must organize her life. She needs a personal health care assistant and somebody that cares about her a little bit more than apparently Dan, this freaking Alex woman, the stepdaughter, and the brothers that are too elderly down in Texas to take care of her, and obviously doesn't have family with the mental capacity or financial capabilities to be able to alleviate this situation, because everybody's talking like B. Smith still has a lot of money. No, babe. Now, what, like I told this one woman who left comments saying, "Oh, B. Smith got all this money, blah, 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 blah. Why are you talking, blah, 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 natural woman, blah, blah, blah." No, babe. Let me explain how it really TI is, because he did sell that $1 million home and he's still front because he's bought a used Mercedes. And hold on, hold on, and bought a used Mercedes. And what's really going on is that they had always lived beyond their means, and he was her manager. And like so many managers of women they love and men they love, mistreated and done mismanaged that money. hmm And instead of planning for a full-time caregiver for when this situation would occur, you would think they would at least have some Aflac. hmm and other insurance set aside. Instead of making a care directive, he told her to make a book about Alzheimer's, me and him hugging together and showing the love, and making our few last dollars before I don't remember anymore to make any money, because she was the sole money breadwinner, money maker, because all he did was manage her career and pick which hotel she needed to stay in for the night. She was paying his salary. And if he was a good manager that was out for her to take care of her, he would have provided for this time that they're going through now, instead of trying to get a YouTube channel to get monetized. hmm And so that update is coming up. As soon as I finalize some information on that, I'm gonna let it out and give you word. And I got the clippings of him wondering where she at, and when he tried to make her disappear. You think it ain't gonna happen again? Mm-hmm. No telling how much that policy is for. See what I'm saying? Mm. So, the last thing I want to talk about is, oh, we talked about the candidates. Let's talk about my cocktail. Not a cocktail. No, 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 no. Not something, not that kind of cocktail. Cocktail. COP. Now, as a woman that's DOS, I have been through a lot of stress and mess and been pulled over more than I care to be pulled over. And I'm going to tell you, I've been pulled over with children in the car. And let me tell you a story. I was living in a southern city, and during that time, depending on what kind of car I had, how I was looking, they were always pulling me over because it was mainly profile, so it depended upon my look in the neighborhood. And I had the kids. It was Halloween. I had just got them. I took them up to the rich neighborhood to get the better candy. Yeah. I bounced around different neighborhoods. All right, get the good stuff. I was going back into the West End, the best end. And the kids, I had them in the back seat. They needed to be strapped down. They weren't, and I'm trying to tell them, and they're just bouncing candy, 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 and they just bouncing up and down, candy, 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 and they're bouncing up and down in the back seat. I get pulled over. They run my license, and dig this. I had uh 3 outstanding parking violations. Now, in the state of Hawaii, when you get outstanding parking tickets, moving not moving violations, but non moving violations, they don't come after you, don't send a person to come and get you, don't put out a warrant for you here. They send it to collection. Now, you'll have a hard time renewing that license when you need it until you take care of it, which is, your wake up call right there. You better take care of it or you ain't got no license. You can't drive. You get a state ID, but you can't drive. But in southern states, they want to put a warrant out on you. They want to lock you up. And for 3 parking tickets, they wanted 3. They wanted to lock me up. Outstanding parking tickets. Had to call my aunt. Had to make the police wait there because she had to bring somebody else so they wouldn't tow my car because I had kids in the car. Because, if they wanted to be nastier about it, they would have called Child Protective Services and grabbed the kids and put them in foster care. My aunt would have had to get them. But because I was calling my aunt while they were checking the ID, telling them something's ready to go down because I already had felt it. And I told them she was on her way. They were kind enough to wait. Now, if they wanted to be kind, they could have moved on. If they wanted to be kind, they would have made the same law that Hawaii made. But see, it's prosecution by class in those states. If you're poor, you're black, they're going to hold you back. You're poor, you're brown, they're going to keep a foot down. Mm-hmm. And all other stereotypes. So my aunt came and got the kids. They didn't have to get sent away. But I had to go to jail and spend the night because you think my family was going to pay for that? Mm-mm. They said, no, honey, you spend the night, you can be released of your own cognizance in the morning. And of course, I didn't say the right thing to the wrong little short ass little fucking cop that was obviously ex-military that had issues. Because small little bitty men in power always do. They put me in solitary all night long. Now, I don't know how long some people can handle solitary. I don't know how long some could do it, but it was already 9 o'clock at night. I was feeling good. I had already did what I needed to do. I was just, the buzz of getting locked up and make it calm down a little bit. But I was the only child for 16 years before my sister was born, and my mother had another child. So I was always being put in detention by teachers, picked on for being loud and black and saying how I feel. I've always been saying how I feel and getting in trouble for it in school and playing by myself, being the only child, when I wasn't staying and being with my cousins. So I just went to sleep. Got up the next day. I didn't have to wear no orange or nothing like that. So, and my hair was looking fabulous. I had that Peggy Bundy red going on, the flip and the dip. And they kind of got mad at me because I wanted to pose for my mugshot and asked if I could have copies. And they got mad about that. But I was looking fabulous and the hair was looking great. It was just mugshot. So, yeah, I got out on my own recognizance the next day. And what did I do about those? I think I ended up working at a fancy brokerage and became friends with the owner, which the parents didn't like. And he got an attorney for me and got it all expunged and thrown out. Hello? It ain't how you do, it's who you know. And that's my cocktail. I thought I'd tell you so. Now, so if you have any comments about anything I said today. Now, if you weren't here and you didn't get to see it or catch me on live, I'm sorry about that. But don't worry, because I'll be back next week at the same time. All right. Taking an hour to get on? No, hopefully not. Hopefully not. I'm gonna have to do this Google Hangout thing instead. So, and then do the I'm going to try to do the Facebook Live for all my Facebook people. But most definitely, I'm going to have the live chat going on another computer or on another smartphone so I can talk to you. So I want to say, I'm going to type it as I talk. Thanks for, thanks for being here. Oh, it said Bing. Being here. And then a big C. You. Next Friday. I'm going to put a happy face. Hold on. Hold on. Happy face at the ready for happy hour. Hold on. And then I'm going to show it to you. I'm live, talking live. Yeah. There you go. Live on live. Ah. So, you got to remember, in this era of hate, you must learn to participate, volunteer, demonstrate, say what's on your mind all the time. And I know that's right. Because without it, you're just going to end up having that boring ass news like everybody else does. And it's not going to go nowhere or do anything for you. You got to be informed. We got to do more of these she to people type of forums, but we need to do more progressive forums and not elitist forums disguised as progressive. Because Tulsi had some great policies and we didn't get to hear them. Bernie has some awesome policies and we were too busy pigeonholing him to say, I'm going to do this for blacks, when he needs to really have people like Cornell and Nina tell him he needs to do, because now people need to start asking them why Bernie doesn't have this specific policy for ADOS. The next time you hear Cornell, ask, why does he not have specific policies for ADOS and you still stand behind him? I think Bernie can be swayed in the right way, just like Kamala Harris and Andrew Yang. Corey and them, I think they'll go corporate in a heartbeat. Liz has more of a chance for me than them. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. And I appreciate you being a part of the Feminist News Network news crew. We're growing strong. Hey, thanks for subscribing and hanging on. All right. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Peace. Bye. Mahalo nui loa. Kalama pono.